Okay, break. Okay, ready? Hold on. Okay. Ready? Here we go. Hello and welcome to another episode of This Is Our Year. I'm your host, Michael Curlin, joined not as usual by my partner in crime, Dougie Fresh. We have a fill-in, first ever guest fill-in on this show, Josh. How you doing, Josh? Welcome to the show. How
I'm
you
good.
doing? Tell the audience. You good?
Yeah, I'm good. It's nice to be back. The last time I was on, which was also the first time, I predicted the Giants were going to go 10-7, so that worked out
You
really well.
you should actually. First question. Doug normally cracks a beer right now and tells the audience what he's drinking. Are you drinking?
I'm drinking very lightly.
That's fine. I don't drink at all on the show. But what? Oh, you're drinking Truly vodka soda.
Truly,
Okay.
yeah. So yeah, it's good to be here. It's good to
Good.
be here.
I think that 10-7 prediction. You should have to chug that Truly vodka soda. Is that possible for you to do for us, for the audience?
Well, seeing as I put myself on a 2-drink limit, and this is my second, I'm not going to do that.
Okay. How about a big chug? How about one big sip?
For 10-7.
So there's a lot of ways we can go with this show. Thanks for filling in. Doug's on vacation somewhere in Turks and Caicos or something, doing something. I don't know what he's doing, but I hope he's having fun and getting drunk. I am, as per usual, drinking water. It is 12:30 on a Monday here in California, so I will not be partaking in the alcohol. I'm actually playing pickleball for the first time this afternoon. How do you feel about that, Josh?
Oh my God. I feel anything that keeps you active is good. So that's good. And I'm sure it will become an obsession for you like it has for so many people in this country. They're bulldozing all kinds of places to put in pickleball courts. I have not played. No.
You never played. So you know what's funny though is like it's supposed to be so the reason that we're playing it is because my wife and I can play it together. Right?
Okay.
My wife is not the most athletic when it comes to sports. But I will say when we play golf, she hits the ball straighter than I do. It just doesn't go very far, but she hits it straight every time. But you know, when it comes to like throwing things and like, you know, I've never seen her play basketball. I think there's a reason for that. Like she's a black belt in Taekwondo. She could kick the shit out of me, but
oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's
but
awesome.
I don't, it is awesome. It's our fun fact when we meet couples for the first time. What's the fun fact about you? My wife can beat the shit out of me. Cool. So yeah, we go with that one. But yeah, we've been trying to play tennis, but like I don't know, like I feel like if we play one-on-one, like you've played tennis, like one-on-one tennis
I love
is
tennis.
hard.
I
I love
tennis.
it too, but it's very hard. It's very like it's a lot of work and like it's a lot of running, but it's not only a lot of running, like it's a lot of running and learning how to hit a ball on the run where you want it to go. And it's very frustrating in the beginning if you've never played before. But pickleball is kind of like ping pong and tennis mixed together. Yeah, right. And you play doubles and it's for like, you know, I'm 45 now, so getting to that age where pickleball's in the sights, like maybe this is where, you know, we're going. Yeah. But I talk more and more about this because did you know that it is like the number one source of injury for senior citizens in America? It's like getting up there. I don't know if it's the number one, but it might be the number one like source for sports injuries for senior citizens in America.
I mean, that makes total sense. Now, listen, pickleball, it's a good idea. There's a very steep learning curve with tennis if you're starting from a place where, you know, you can barely hit the ball and you can't serve. I mean, so you need something that's more of a game. I do know what pickleball is. Pickleball is a game. I can understand why senior citizens are hurting themselves because they're saying, oh, you know, we're just going to play a little basically ping pong, except we're standing on the table. And of course they're going to hurt themselves. But, you know.
But you know why they're hurting themselves? Because they're like getting ultra competitive and they're like running to make that shot and they're diving and then they're falling. They're like breaking their shoulder. So my neighbors over here, I live on the corner of a street and then a cul-de-sac, right? And so the cul-de-sac, there's like 5 houses on the cul-de-sac. And all the neighbors on this cul-de-sac are, in their 50s or more.
Right.
So like close to being seniors. And they're all very nice people, but they set up a pickleball court in the cul-de-sac on the asphalt. They spray paint the
Nice.
lines and they go out and they play every weekend with each other in the summertime. And one of the guys, and this is very typical for pickleball, he's probably like, if I had to guess, he's 60. He's a very nice guy, and he
Right.
went to dive for a ball or overextend himself for a ball, tripped over his own 2 feet, fell into the curb, and broke his fucking clavicle on the side, where the curb meets the street. And I'm just like, Jesus, like that was right here. Like, so anyway, we're young enough where hopefully there won't be any major pickleball injuries to report. I'll let you know how it goes. We're taking our first clinic tonight so we can learn the exact rules and regulations of said pickleball. And we're very excited because it's something that as a couple we can do together. And that's kind of hard to do as when you're a guy. I'm a guy who's played organized team sports most of his life, and she has not. So
it's very important for the health of a relationship to have stuff to do together. Have stuff to do together that does not require a screen or technology.
Or alcohol. That's the one that we always run into, is that if we're not drinking, then, what are we doing? What are we doing soberly? And like, we can go for hikes. It's a little bit harder now that we have a baby.
Right.
And we go for we do go for a lot of bike rides, but the problem with the bike rides is you usually end up somewhere where they serve alcohol, and then the ride home maybe isn't as sober as it should be. But that's okay.
Luckily, Allie, my girlfriend, barely drinks at all. We do a lot of hikes.
Girlfriend, hold on. We glazed over. Girlfriend. This is is this
you've known about it.
I've known about Allie. I didn't know that she was officially your girlfriend. So
Oh
congratulations.
yeah, it's definitely official.
That's awesome.
And we go on hikes and we do stuff, and she's a gamer, which is fun because I'm still holding on to that. I'm never going to give that up. I mean, I started with Atari, and I told myself that even though now I might play like 1 game or 2 games a year, I don't play a lot. I'm never going to give it up like Doug has and like you have, because the technology is only getting better. And if I find 1 game a year that I'm into, cool. And like in this case, she likes playing games, and so it's fun. We have stuff to do that's not going to a bar and stuff like that. It's
I think that's been the biggest transition for me in my last decade of life. Is like, there was single Mike Curlin when he first moved to California, and I mean, the bar was my living room, right? I didn't spend much time at home. I was always out and about, and I wanted to go get dinner by myself or with friends. We would meet up at the bar and do what single guys in their mid-30s do. But then I met my wife and we started dating, and we both continued that scene of like, okay, let's go to the bar and have dinner and drinks and all that stuff. And then as we've had a child and gotten a little bit longer in the tooth, and in terms of dating, like my wife doesn't really drink, similar to what you're saying about your girlfriend. She's if she's gonna have a day, she'll make a day of it, and she'll have like 3 or 4. But like, she has more than 4, she's on the floor. And so normally she's a 1 or 2 drink kind of person. And in my, even as of like the beginning of the year, I could do 5 or 6 in a sitting and be pretty fine.
Yeah,
but now I'm trying to keep it to 2, unless I'm trying to make, unless that's what I'm trying to do for the day is get after it. But I'm really not trying to get after it lately. And I fucking feel better and I look better. And, yeah, man. So I don't know. It's just like trying to like make that pivot off of alcohol centric, right? So anyway, we're lost down a rabbit hole of alcohol centric conversations. That's not why you came on the show, is it, Josh? It's not, right?
It's not. We've got some stuff to talk about.
You came on the show to talk about sports. So I have one more question for you.
Sure.
You call yourself a sports fan, right or wrong?
Yes.
Who are your teams?
The Giants, the Knicks, the Mets, and the Devils. And the Mets and the Devils are hanging on by a thread. But I grew up with them. I'll always have the love. But I go in and out of active fandom, you know? Like with the Mets, I don't watch Mets games anymore. But I do follow them and, I read the blogs and stuff like that. But I find it too frustrating. I find baseball is way too much of a commitment. It's too much of a time commitment. And the way the team is built, it would be a complete waste of my time to invest myself in this team, Ever since they lost to the Royals, it's been difficult,
Yeah, and I think you bring up a lot of good points. Like, I find myself at times trying to choose between, I don't want to have to choose between my family and watching a Mets game, and like my wife would rather get punched in the face than watch any baseball. I mean, unless she likes going to a Dodger game in person. She's a Dodger fan by trade, but
that's different.
She doesn't. It is different, but even she could give a shit if they were the worst team in the league. She'll show up. She'll have her micheladas and her Dodger dog and watch the one game that she'll go to a year, and she'll cheer for the Dodgers. And if they win, that was great, and if they lose, that was great. And she doesn't give a shit what happens before or after that, right?
Right.
So to try and put that, I've tried to get my daughter to watch sports with me, and she's like her mother. She just starts screaming. She gets uninterested. She's not paying attention. And then she just starts like fidgeting and getting loud. And it's like, she's like, pay attention to me, not this stupid game. And to your point, like, and I've said it with Doug numerous times on this show, the baseball season is too long. The games are too long. Even now that they're shortened, they're still too fucking long. All the rules are trying to put into place to like, shortened games are working and they make it more appealing to watch, but it's still too long. I can't. So to your point, like if the Mets aren't good, I'm not going to invest my time to live and die with this team. Like Doug will always have the game on in the background. Like I can't do that anymore. It's like if it's a big game and we're doing well, and to your point, I will check the box score every night. I have the updates on my phone. I'll look and see like who did well, what is everyone hitting. Just like take 5 minutes of my time to kind of like associate myself with what's going on. But like if we're like right now, we've lost like we're like 3-10 in the last 13 games, all against the NLEs. We just lost a series to the Marlins, who fucking are the worst team in baseball. We lost 3 out of 4 in a home and home series to the Phillies, and we lost 2 out of 3 to the Braves. And
didn't Diaz just blow 3 games in a row as well?
He definitely blew a game against the Marlins.
Pretty sure it's been 3 in a row.
I think he blew one. Yeah, I mean his fastball is topping out at like 95. So there's the problem right now is there's no differential between his slider and his fastball. So everything's like 90. It's the same speed. So if you can time it, I think that's why he's so hittable. And he's a year back from fucking ACL. Like he just needs to get back into shape. And like he probably shouldn't have rushed back. He probably should have started on the 60-day DL and worked himself up and whatever. But the Mets thought that they were going to compete when the season started, and I don't know. That's not looking. It's more looking like what I predicted.
And it's right. It's so frustrating. I mean, last year we had Diaz with the World Baseball Classic. Losing him before the season was ridiculous. And then this year, Senga. We haven't even seen Senga pitch yet. He's not around.
And why rush him back at this point, dude? Why rush him back at this point?
Who cares? I don't think Pete Alonso's coming back. The Mets did you see the Mets made their contract offer public? Once teams usually do that, it's a signal that they're like, okay, well, we're going to let the fans know that we tried. And he's not doing himself any favors.
Well, I think you got to think of it like this, though. Like, we're not in a window to compete right now. We're probably at least, like, they keep wanting to talk about we're going for the wild card. Like, we're going to finish right around 500, whether it's up or down. I don't know which one. But, a couple games under, a couple games over, probably a couple games over. I could see the team putting it together in the second half.
Really?
Okay. And like 82 and 80 or 83 and 79. I'm not talking like 88, like 81 and 81, something like that. So, which I think would for the way this team's constructed, I think would be a win. You know, Beatty is not hitting. He's playing better defense. He's not hitting. You know, we just brought up Vientos. Now we got this like lefty righty platoon at third, which shortens our bench. Doesn't shorten our bench, but it creates a less flexibility on our bench.
Right.
You know, Alvarez going down. There's no coincidence with him going down and the team starting to go in the shitter. Like we lost one of our best hitting players, and they're lost protection. JD Martinez is on a 1-year deal. Pete's on a 1-year deal. If we keep going down this path, we're probably going to trade both of them. I wouldn't be surprised if we traded McNeil as well, and just kind of like fire sale at the deadline and got hopefully as much as we could get like we did last year. We did very well last year with what we were doing, and I don't care. Like our fucking pitching staff is our starting pitching staff is mediocre at best, and we lead the league in walks. Like we're just we just nibble around the zone because we got a bunch of guys in the starting rotation that are batting practice pitchers. You know, no one's throwing. Right. No one except for Severino. I do think he's been pretty decent this year, but like Quintana's a junk ball lefty. Menea's a junk ball lefty. Buto they just sent down. I think he's got some ability to possibly be our fifth starter. I think it was more of an options game with him, but he's got a little bit of a decent repertoire, but he walks a lot of guys. And Hauser's already out of the fucking rotation. You know, he's been terrible. Now they just brought up Lucchesi. He went back down. McGill's coming off the DL, but these are all fifth starters. Now, anybody I just said in there, the only guy that's not really a fifth starter is Severino.
Yeah.
You want to say Menea's maybe a little bit better. Maybe he's a 4 or borderline 3. That's fine. But like Quintana at this point in his career is a fucking junk ball lefty fifth starter. And he's nibbling the zone, and he was walking way too many people. And when he comes into the zone, he gets pounded because he has a 92-mile-an-hour fucking fastball, and they load up right-handed hitters against him. So he's not locating like he used to. Anyway, that's my fucking
and the team doesn't hit. I'm so tired of being a fan of a team that on paper has some talent going into the season, and then for one instance or one reason or another, you lose, you get injuries. Either way, the team never hits. And if you're not,
that's not true. When in 2022 we hit, and that is why, when we started the show, we were in the middle of that season, and the 2022 Mets were killing it, and they should have won the division. They fell apart the last week of the season. Atlanta came back and took it right from under their noses, and at the trade deadline, I was fucking banging the table. Go get Wilson Contreras because we had fucking Tomas Nido and Brian McCann as our starting catchers, and it shortened our lineup every day, and we had no DH, and that's when we went out and got fucking Vogelbach, and we got Darren Ruff, and neither one of them took off either, and we just traded a bunch of spare parts, which actually I don't think are spare parts anymore. I mean, anyway, we just puffed up outside parts of the roster instead of going. Right. We should have traded for Wilson Contreras. Would he have been any better or worse? I don't know, but he was on paper the best catcher available at the deadline that you could have probably gotten, and you needed to do that because our pitching staff was still good at that point in time. We were able to fucking, Scherzer was not. I mean, he kind of fell apart at the end of the year, but he was still there. And we just didn't do enough. We didn't do enough. And then last year was a comedy of fucking disaster of errors. From Diaz going down to Scherzer hurting himself to fucking Verlander getting hurt in spring training to, Pete batting like 199 for a good portion of the year. McNeil fucking couldn't hit last year.
McNeil got the bag, and where'd 300 go? You remember when he was so scrappy? He was like, it was like you figured maybe he's going to bat, 300, 305, 310, at least 290 somewhere,
Well, I think Doug made a really good point about McNeil a couple weeks ago, and he said when the shift rule came into play, which was last year,
that's a good point.
That was really what he's not been able to adjust to that. He was always able to hit against the shift, and now when they're playing him up the middle, a lot of those things that he would hit because of the shift, they're right in the right position now. So I don't know, man. This team, we're probably going to finish. I mean, I, I don't think there's no reason to make an addition to this team. We want to continue to shed payroll so we can go into next year's free agent class and hopefully at least be players for some of the bats that are going to be available if they make it to free agency. And we're going to need some more pitching. Like Quintana's gone. Manea is probably going to opt out. Severino is going to be a free agent. Hauser's a free agent. I mean, literally, the only guy there, and Senga can opt out too. Our entire rotation can opt out or become a free agent at the end of this year. So,
I mean, don't we have money coming off the books? Though? I mean, I think Verlander's money's off the books. I think Scherzer's money's off the books. I mean, right there, that's a significant chunk of money.
Yeah, that's $86 million right there.
I have full faith that they'll find the proper talent to fill the holes.
Yeah, I do too. But it's just this is one of those seasons that's lost in the ether.
But isn't that the Mets, though? I mean, you said that they hit in 2022. And yes, I will concede that they have seasons where they hit. But as an overall culture of the last couple decades, it's just way too often that we go into summer with the team not hitting and just not being exciting. And if you're not going to have an exciting team, I'm not going to be interested because baseball is boring.
Baseball is boring.
I love baseball. I grew up playing. I grew up collecting baseball cards. Grew up going to Shea. But baseball is boring. And just bring in the robot umps because that is so ridiculous that we're still dealing with made-up strike zones. It doesn't make any sense. And the umpires union can't be that strong. Like, just make it fucking happen.
I am not for, I don't take lightly taking away people's careers, right? But what I can tell you is that these, especially for robots, I think that that's not something that I'm looking forward to.
For the strike zone, let's just do it for home plate. That's what needs to happen.
Sure, I don't disagree with you. I think that the problem, I think that the problem is, to your point, that these umps they've taken it upon themselves to make themselves a bigger part of the game than they should be. I've always been told, like, the refs and the umps and whatever you shouldn't even realize they're there. And when they start making calls that affect the outcome of games, and that's what these guys are doing, and they're so quick to throw guys out now. There's no you can't say shit to
them. They're looking for a reason. They're making themselves part of the game. Yeah, part of the drama. Yeah, no.
So not a fan of that. So robot umps at some point should and will happen for home plate, and I think that these guys just their egos are overinflated. Like, I don't care that you're an ump and you're on TV every day. Like, I don't even know the name except for Angel Hernandez because everyone hates him, but couldn't tell you the name of any other umps in the league at this point. But let's stop being down in the dumps, sad baseball enthusiasts. I have a couple more questions about your fandom because we jumped right into the Mets there. And I think we did a good job of covering how shitty they are so far and how disappointing they are so far. Sure. And I do think Pete will get traded, and I think it's the right move because this is the second year in a row he's not. Yeah, sure, he's hitting some home runs, but we need on base, we need slugging, and like you're just hitting your home runs here and there, and
he's turning singles. He's Adam Dunn. He's
right. We need home runs when people are on base in big moments, and he's got a few of those, but he's not. I think he's got like 11 home runs and like 21 RBIs. It's not.
I'm fully confident that for the next 6 or 7 years, he's going to hit anywhere from 35 to 52 home runs. But I am not confident he'll ever hit 250.
Right, and as he gets older and that bat speed slows down, it's not like he's. I love Pete, and you're wearing the shirt. I think he's a homegrown Met. I'd love to see him stay, but to your point, I don't know if he's going to. And I don't know if he does, if we're going to see the best years of that. The best years of his career may already be past us, right? So who wants to sign up for another 7 years of a decline? But maybe you do. So moving on, we were talking about your teams. You didn't mention any MLS or any other soccer. Do you have any soccer affiliation?
Nope.
I will say, and we don't talk at all about soccer on this show, but it has everything that baseball doesn't. 2 hours from start to finish, over. Saturday morning when I wake up, I can go watch my, you know,
Chelsea.
Chelsea game, and it's over by the time my daughter's eating breakfast, and she doesn't care, and my wife doesn't care. She's just waking up. And then I've gotten into MLS. It's the same thing. It's 2 hours start to finish, including halftime. Never stops. There's no commercials. Like there's
Right.
just a lot. There's just a lot to like about it. But I'll get off my soccer bandwagon high horse here. What I really want to ask is what we were talking about pre-show. Josh, you are a fan of 4 teams in the tri-state area,
Right.
and you don't own one hat of any of your teams. Why is this a thing? I don't understand. Can you tell the audience why you don't own a hat of any of your favorite sports teams?
I may be wearing a Pete Alonso shirt that you sent me, and I like it. I like Pete. I like bears. It's got a bear on it. It's pretty cool. I am not someone that wears sports team merchandise. I just don't. I'm not
But
against it.
You used to wear jerseys all the time.
We all change, man.
That's
We all
fair.
change.
That's fair. We all grows up. My boys all grows up. You know what you say is very true though. Like if I am not going to the sporting event, I won't wear a hat. Like I won't wear this unless it's Sunday. It's either football Sunday and I'm like at home, or I'm biking around going to the bars, watching the games, or I'm going to the game. I did wear my Chelsea hat yesterday, but they played yesterday, so I had it on in the morning while I was watching the game, and then I just never took it off. Right?
Hey man, I'm down with it. And you're a Jets fan living in Cali. I can understand the desire to want to represent when you're out there. And if I was in a situation like that, if I wasn't living tri-state, I might feel more inclined to do that when I'd go out to the bar or go somewhere to watch the Giants or something like that.
Yeah.
So I get it. I just, I'm just not going to spend money on that kind of stuff.
Fair enough.
I love the Knicks, but you won't ever see me wearing a Knicks jersey. I do. I mean, I have guns, but I'm not going to wear a Knicks jersey.
Oh, he says he has guns. Show the audience. If you're going to say you got guns, you got to show the audience.
No, you're going to have to believe it.
Well, that's very. The audience wants to know, Josh. Don't deny the audience. So, did you want to talk? We could talk about the Knicks. We can go in a lot of different directions here. Do you have any time constraints on this show, or are you able to go for a riff for a little bit?
No, I'm good. Let's just say the Knicks talk doesn't have to be long. I'll say this. I love this team. And the construction. Leon Rose did a really good job, surprisingly, because I didn't have faith, and a lot of other Knicks fans didn't have faith. But bringing together DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, and Jalen Brunson was such an awesome move. It made them so scrappy and such a hard-working team, and that's exactly what New York, and that's exactly what I like. It's like why my favorite baseball players were always like the hard-nosed guys that just work and work and work and put in effort. And losing Julius Randle, listen, I don't know that we make it this far in the playoffs. We just lost last night in Game 7 with a chance to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't know if the Knicks make it that far if Randle was healthy, because the whole the game with the rotation would have been different. The ball movement would have been different. He would have been sucking up shots, and he's proven in the past he may not be that clutch. So it was fun to watch. But once Mitchell Robinson got hurt, Hartenstein's awesome. Knicks have to pay him. He's been great. But once Mitchell Robinson got hurt, because he always does, and then OG got hurt, and Brunson got banged up, and then Hart was banged up, and then Hartenstein was banged up. I mean, we were not going to beat the Celtics. If we were fully healthy and OG and Mitch were there, I would give them a shot, maybe. But listen, they've done a good job. I wasn't upset that they lost. And they've got some decisions to make, one of which is, are they going to give OG a max contract? I think would be a mistake. I love him. I love how he plays. I love his defense. But he's always hurt. He's missed 120 games in the last 4 years. He's always hurt. And then Hartenstein is coming up, and they have a lot of picks. I think that they need to make a big trade. I think they need to bring someone in. And I was listening to Bill Simmons recently, and he was saying that they want to go after Mikal Bridges and bring another Villanova guy in. And
I and so this show doesn't talk a lot of NBA at all, and normally we focus mostly on Brooklyn. But I can tell you from the Brooklyn point of view, like, let me pause there and tell you, I think what you said just made a lot of sense. Like, and a lot of Knicks fans probably don't want to hear this, but before this year, what did you finish last year? Like seventh, eighth, like you barely snuck in the playoffs.
something like that. I tend to I clean out my RAM after every season because
Yeah, but you guys made a lot of progress. Jalen Brunson became a superstar this year in New York, which is really cool to watch. I think he had a very, I don't want to say Cinderella because I think he's capable of doing it again next year. I think that he became the player that they hoped he would become when they paid him, and
right.
so you have your leader. The hard part is everything around him is kind of like, in my opinion, like good role players, but there's like OG could be good if he wasn't hurt all the time. Randall is okay, but he's a gunner, and I think you're right. I think if he's on that team, maybe you don't perform as well. You got DiVincenzo is a great three ball shooter. Hart's a good
DiVincenzo, they picked him up to be a role player, and look at him starting this year. That guy has swagger. That guy can play. He's young. And Hart playing as a two. Listen, Hart is not great offensively, but that dude plays every minute of every game, is always involved. And, Simmons was saying something, and I kind of agree. I don't think, and I think hopefully Leon Rose gets this, I don't think the Knicks need necessarily a superstar. They just need to bring in more talent and hardworking guys, and that's what they need. And they're just going to be one of those scrappy teams that, if they want to take a shot, like, don't sell the team to bring in someone like I don't know, the guy from Cleveland or whatever, Mitchell, Donovan Mitchell. Don't do that kind of thing. We don't need that guy. You know.
Well, I think Donovan Mitchell would help you guys a lot because he is a two that can put up points and take some the problem right now is you don't have anyone that can take pressure off Brunson.
Right.
Like you got a bunch of role players that are elevating their game with Brunson, which is showing how good Brunson is as a point guard. He's Hartenstein had a career year, and they've always thought he could, but he had a career year. He's going to get paid this year. You do
so much effort.
He actually has a decision to make because he is going to have to take less to stay with the Knicks if he wants to stay. He's going to get offered more, and the Knicks can't pay him as much as he can get on the open market right now.
Listen, if Randall could have stayed healthy, we can't say that he wouldn't be clutch and that he wouldn't have come up small. And if he can play in the playoffs, he would have relieved, the ball movement wouldn't have been as good. The team would have looked different. But who's to say that maybe next year he learns how to play within this new system and not just, sit with the ball and ISOs. I mean, Brunson ISOs all the time, but that guy is a beast. He's such a beast. I mean, he had, what do you have? I think 5 40-plus games this postseason, which tied Bernard King.
Yep.
So it was fun. It was fun. I'm glad. I'm glad that it happened, and I will not be watching any more of the NBA this year because once the Knicks are out, I don't care. So I'm sure that someone probably win. Who knows? I don't care.
It'll be interesting to see Boston and the Pacers and the T-Wolves and the Mavericks go at it. I don't know. There's going to be a new champ this year. Denver got ousted last night, so we'll see. It's not your usual cast. I think Anthony Edwards is ridiculous, and I think Minnesota's got a better shot than people are giving them credit for. But just real quick to tie up the loose ends here on basketball, I think you guys are very interested in Mikal Bridges. I don't know if we're going to move him. I think we're trying to build around him, but I don't know how that timeline lines up with what we're trying to do. We have a bunch of good young players, but we don't have, like, our bench is just trash. Our bench was awful last year.
Simmons was
So,
making the point. He was saying, with the team the Nets have, what are you doing with Mikal Bridges? Now, to get him to the Knicks, they would have to demand 120 cents on the dollar. The Knicks are going to have to overpay. And I think
oh
that's
yeah,
only right to move him cross town. I think that's only right.
yep.
And Simmons was saying that he thought that Mikal was upset this year with how they played and with that Cam Thomas taking so many shots. And he thinks he kind of just was like, screw this. What am I doing here?
Well, there was a game. So Mikal Bridges was the Iron Man of the NBA, and there was a game in December or January, and I think this is what led to Jacques Vaughn getting fired. Jacques Vaughn started him for like 3 or 4 minutes, and then he benched him and didn't play him the rest of the game just to like keep his streak alive. It was really lame, and Bridges didn't want it. Bridges was like, "I'm here to play every night. That's what I fucking do. I'm an Iron Man," and like we were trying to do like, Vaughn was trying to do some like load management, which is also lame.
Right.
And so he did it to the whole team. It wasn't just Bridges. We were actually at a point in the season where we were probably 500. We were probably like 10-10 or 12-12 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And we were trying to like we were on a back to back night and we are trying to save Ben Simmons, and so he benched pretty much the whole team against Milwaukee, and he just let all the bench he emptied the bench and let them play like 40 minutes. And Bridges was pissed. He was pissed. He told the media he was pissed. And after that game, we went like fucking 20 and like 50 the rest of the year. Like it was just like it was a bad turning point for the season. Didn't send a good message to the team. There was no reason to do it other than you wanted to do it with Ben Simmons, fine, but don't do it to your best guy Bridges, right? Who doesn't want it. Ben
Right.
Simmons needs it, but like I think the team. I think he lost the locker room. He got fired not too long after that, and I agree. I think Bridges kind of mailed it in after that. I think he was like, "Well, fuck, we're not even trying to win this year, so
Right.
why am
And,
I fucking busting my ass out here?"
listen, you have Phoenix picks now. I mean, you've been pulled out of the grave. You have Phoenix picks. If the Knicks want to give you, 3, 4, 5 premium picks, why
Well, the
not, take that also and just rebuild your entire team.
well that, and I think that's the choice that needs to be made. Is the thing about Mikal Bridges that is so good is that his contract is so team friendly for this coming
What
year
is
for the
this contract? I don't even
It's
know.
like 27 million for the next 2 years, which
Which is nothing in the NBA.
correct. So each 27 million each year, but
Yeah,
it's still
of
not.
course.
It's still nothing.
Guys are
And
making
but
60 million a season now. The
and
best
he's a
part.
great 3 and D guy. But the problem, and he's more than a 3 and D guy. He's a great, but I can tell you, I don't think he's a one. I don't think he's got the ability to score. He can have his night. He'll have a night, couple nights a year where he hits
Yeah.
30. He'll hit 20 most nights, but he's going to be in the 18, 19 range on a lot of nights, probably half the nights out of the year. And I just don't think he's your number one option. If he's your number 2 or 3 option,
We have
then
Jalen. We have
right.
Jalen. We
And
have Randall. We have DiVincenzo.
I think if you got Bridges, it makes a lot of sense, and it makes a lot of sense for us. You are going to have to pay for the through the nose for him.
Yeah, of course.
But I don't know. I don't know if I mean Sean Marks is fully entrenched and he loves Bridges, so I don't know. I don't know. I don't
We'll
know. But
see.
enough about the fucking NBA. Do you
Okay.
want to talk about NHL at all?
No. No,
Okay,
not
no
at all.
NHL for me
No.
either. It looks like you guys are going to hire Sheldon Keefe as the next coach. Is that what you're hearing, or you
I
haven't
have
even
not
paid any
heard
attention?
anything because I've only been paying attention to the Knicks and to fantasy football. That's it. That's
Okay.
all I've been doing.
Well, it looks like you guys are going to hire possibly Sheldon Keefe as your new head coach. I don't think that's a terrible hiring. If you do hire him, I think there was one other guy that was in the ring, and I think it was someone with experience as well. Because you had Lindy Ruff, and then you fired him, and then I don't know who you replaced him with.
He,
But
he lost the locker room. We have a lot of young talent. We haven't had goaltending in forever, and there's nothing worse than growing up watching Martin Brodeur and then having a team with tons of young forwards who are good and some good defense and not having goaltending. It's really bad. It's really bad to watch. And then that's it. And I've been checked out, and I live, basically in upstate Connecticut. It's not easy to watch the Devils here unless you want to pay through the nose. So I haven't.
all right, well, we don't need to talk anymore about NHL because the Islanders are on the opposite end of that spectrum. We have decent goaltending, but we have a bunch of aging forwards, and we have salary cap issues until 2030. So this is the first year we're going to be making a first round draft pick in like 6 years. So cool story, bro. So let's talk. You want to talk a little bit about the NFL teams?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
I'd like to get to.
Whatever you want to talk
I'd
about.
like to. I'd like to get your take on the New York Football Giants 100th anniversary uniforms. Did you like them? Did you hate them? Are you going
I
to be
think they are so
purchasing?
ugly. They're so ugly that I like them. They're really bad. They're like so bad. Like remember the Canucks old uniforms, the V.
Yeah.
Remember that really nasty V? It's so bad that it's good. And
Okay.
I'm happy that it's only going to be like a game. They're not going to. It'll be their alternate 3 games.
Yeah. 3 games, I think.
Well, I hope they're not playing the Cowboys or the Eagles for any one of those games. Listen, the uniforms are whatever. They have no quarterback. I'm excited that they traded for Brian Burns. I think our defensive line is going to be sick. I think Malik Neighbors was a tremendous draft pick. He's going to get 150, 160 targets this year. That's fine. He's going to carry the team. So they brought in Singletary after Saquon left. And listen, you have all these Giants fans. You know you care too much about football when someone like Saquon leaves to go to Philly. And like they people carrying on online. It's like get a life. Like who cares? Like players move on. We got Devin Singletary. I like him. You're not very big on him. You know, we drafted Tyrone Tracy. All I want this year is for the coaching staff to regain the confidence of, hopefully they don't need to regain the confidence of the front office, but of the fans and the media. Because I believe in our GM, I believe in Shane, I believe in our coaching staff and Dable. I think they can be good. I think that Daniel Jones winning that game in Minnesota last year in the playoffs, or 2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago? Really screw this up. Signing him was a bad deal. Gettleman kind of fucked us with that draft pick. You know,
I think you had to though. You kind of had to. You were in just like there was no other option, unless you were willing to roll with Tyrod Taylor.
It's hindsight, but it doesn't matter. It hurts just the same. And the thing was, when they drafted him at 6, no Giants fans were like, "Oh, this is a good move." We were trying to find hope in like this shitty situation, you know. And so when he came on and he ran for 700 yards, only threw 15 touchdowns, we're like, "Okay, well, maybe he does have some talent. He has a little deep ball accuracy. Maybe we can make it work." Because we had no choice. You got to look for something positive. And and now we're going into this season, and I think the Giants will just make it through this year and then sign Dak Prescott. I think that's what's going to
happen. I don't see that happening. I don't think Dak is going to shake loose. The Cowboys are going to pay him because it's very similar to why you pay Daniel Jones. There's nobody else out there that can fill this team right now. You got CeeDee Lamb in his prime and Dak in his prime. Like, you're not letting Dak go.
Okay, so you're giving the Cowboys credit. If I'm not wrong, who's their GM still? Jerry Jones?
I'm not giving them credit. I'm telling you that they're going to do the same thing the Giants did with Daniel Jones. Jerry Jones is notorious for waiting to the last minute to sign people. He's always waited till the last minute.
Did you see what they did with Jonathan Brooks before the draft? Did you see?
Yeah. They announced that they wanted. I mean, Jerry Jones is 85 years old. He is very similar to Lou Lamoriello. He should not be making the day-to-day decisions.
Listen, I don't necessarily want Dak Prescott. I just want a quarterback. I think our defense is going to be good, and I think our offense will be okay. But we need a quarterback, and now we have to wait an entire season for that to happen.
I agree, and that's, again, talking off air between you and I and Doug. You guys were pounding the table for Odunze and Neighbors, and I kept saying you got to go McCarthy or May if he's there. And you guys said no, and this is the exact reason why I said yes. And it's just from a logistics point of view, like, you hope you're not picking in the top 10 of the draft next year. You hope that you guys make some progress and you
Right.
win some games and you go 9-7 or
But next year's draft is, it's bad quarterback. And no, you're right. And I went back and forth. I went back and forth about what I wanted them to do, whether it was move up for May or for McCarthy. And then when they picked Neighbors, I came around to it because I just want Dable to show who he is. I really
sure.
do. And I want to see something good. And you know what? I don't mind that we're going to have an elite receiver for many, many years. He's going to be here. We haven't had one in quite a while. And I don't think, even though, it was a little rocky beginning, I don't think he's Odell Beckham. And I don't foresee that happening. I do think he is a bit of a diva, but that's a star receiver in the NFL. That's a lot of guys. I think that's okay. He demands the ball. He wants the ball. He wants to be great. I don't think that's
Yeah,
necessarily a thing.
I don't disagree with you. I don't think that um, Neighbors being a diva is going to be the death of him or whatever. I think that he'll be fine. I do think if Daniel Jones can't get him the ball, that could turn into a distraction later in the year, and you'll have to deal with that. And I will say, if Daniel Jones is not your guy and you guys are going to cut him after this year, then yeah, you did just waste a chance to get these receivers are coming out every year, more and more every year, right? And like Neighbors is more than just a first round pick.
Yeah.
He has the ability to be on the same level with Harrison Jr. if he reaches his potential. So I don't disagree, but like I said, I have no skin in the game. If it was my team and I was a Giants fan, I would have wanted the quarterback because Daniel Jones is a stopgap at this point.
Right.
And Tommy DeVito is a fucking internet celebrity playing third string quarterback. And your backup quarterback is, I can't even, Drew Lock, who was once a second round pick and has never really had a chance. He had a couple
It's the guy.
starts
He had one good
in
game for
Denver.
Seattle last year where
Yeah, he had a couple starts in Denver. He had a little bit in going. He was part of that Russell Wilson trade. Had a couple years in Seattle where he was the backup. I mean, if in my opinion, if you can't beat out Geno Smith for the starting job, then you're probably not great, right?
what is
So
let me make a point though before I forget. So you said if Daniel Jones can't get Neighbors the ball. Now, is Daniel Jones going to stay healthy? I'm not too confident about that. But what's the thing that Neighbors does? Like, why is Neighbors great? You don't need Neighbors to go all the way down the field and hit him with a pinpoint pass over his back shoulder. You just need to get him the ball. And that's why he's a great fit for them. Because whether it's Daniel Jones or whether it's Drew Lock, just get him the ball. Put the ball in his hands, and he's going to make things happen. I mean, is he Jamar Chase? I don't think he's Jamar Chase. But is he approaching Jamar Chase? I hope so, and it looks like he might. And to have that in the building and locked up is a big deal. It's not like there aren't just receivers. There are lots of receivers coming into the league. There's a lot of good talent this year, but there's not a lot of Neighbors guys. There's not a lot of Harrison guys. And I don't think necessarily there's going to be that much elite talent every year in the draft,
sure,
So
all fair points, and we can move on from what you think about the Giants. I'm not going to ask you to predict anything. It's way too early. We just started OTAs today, so we've talked about the Jets ad nauseum on here. We don't need to talk about the Jets anymore. Just happy that Aaron's back and looking healthy so far, and we filled all of our holes. And I like what we did in the draft.
you like the what was it? Fashanu was your first round draft pick?
Leading up, if Odunze, I wanted Odunze to fall to 10 because that's who I wanted, because you got Mike Williams, Garrett Wilson, and you got Rome Odunze. Okay. And then when Mike Williams falls off or gets injured, you got Rome Odunze and then Garrett Wilson together over the next at least 3 years, right? So that was what I was excited for, to get Aaron another weapon. But, we got Corley in the third round, and we took the tackle in the first round with Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses both being 33, coming off injuries. it was a smart thing to do, especially because our offensive line decimated our season for the last 2 years running, amongst many other things. But we couldn't. I mean, we had guys that starting at guard last year that probably were stocking shelves at some point in time in the
Right.
off season. You know, like they were not highly touted prospects at all, and it was just injury after injury after. I mean, we started 18 different offensive linemen last year. It's fucking ridiculous, dude. So enough about that. Let's talk about what we really want to talk about, Josh. Let's talk about what we really want to talk about. Let's talk about some fantasy football here.
Okay.
Everyone's waited. Everyone's waited or tuned out. So
well, hopefully our league is watching because they're going to get information now. And I was deciding whether I was going to give the information, and then I decided I'll give the information.
Absolutely nobody's watching right now, and
we'll have two people. It's okay.
I can see the stats at the bottom here. No one has even tuned in. So you know, if they've waited this long through this entire podcast, then there's some. Let's give them some golden nuggets at the end.
It's a talk. It's a conversation between friends. I mean, we've been talking about fantasy for 20 years. So
20 years. 20
yeah.
years.
So you want to talk about Dynasty? Let's not talk about CBS. Let's talk about Dynasty. I think we have the rookie draft coming up in about 10 days or so, 11 days.
Yeah, 10 days. Yeah. Yep.
And for those who don't know, for the one listener that may be around later, so I tanked last season in order to get the number one pick, and I did. And I'll be taking Marvin Harrison at number one because I need receiver help. But I also made a bunch of trades, and I have the 1, 4, 5, and 12 this year in the first round in the deepest draft we've had in many, many years. So it's been a lot of fun to study. I've been studying for probably 3 months now. Just because I enjoy doing research. I've always enjoyed researching prospects. It's what I like most about fantasy. And instead of watching Mets games, or if I'm not with Allie, that's what I like to do. So
okay.
What would you like to know? What do you want to talk about?
Well, let's start with first and foremost. You said you're taking Harrison 1. Mm-hmm. What other picks do you have in the draft of the first round?
I have Harris. I have the 1. I have the 4, which right now my starting quarterback is Trevor Lawrence, and he's been very mid. In 3 years, he has 2 games of over 330 yards. That's it. 2. That's it. He's been very mid. I know they got Brian Thomas, but he's not a guy that I could depend on. And so I'm going to take Caleb at 4. I can say all of this because we all know who's going 2 and 3. So I'm going to take Caleb at 4.
So who's going 2?
Neighbors.
Okay. Tim's going to take Neighbors at 2, and who's going 3?
Odunze.
You think that's a definite?
Well, listen, I think there's only one choice.
Are you worried that someone might jump up in front of you at 3 and try and grab Caleb?
No, that's fine. I'll take Odunze. I don't care. Whatever.
Okay.
There's other quarterbacks in this draft. Someone wants to jump up and take Caleb? Cool, dude. Do it. I'll take Odunze. I'll take Odunze all day. I'll grab a quarterback later. It doesn't matter.
So let's just assume, let's not throw these curveballs at you. Let's assume that Odunze and Neighbors go 2, 3, not in that order, but you know what I mean. And you're on the clock at 4. You're taking Caleb. Okay, and then at 5, what are you doing?
So it's been really difficult, and I'm not locked in yet. But I've been staring at Dallas Goedert as my starting tight end for 2 years now, and it really makes me sad. It really, it takes away all my joy because he's always hurt and he's not very good. And
he's okay, but he never. So Goedert is like the power slot guy, and Ertz was the inline tight end. And when they were playing on the field together, and Goedert was the motion tight end, he was getting open, and he was able to do a lot more things. And Ertz did all the blocking, and now Goedert is the inline tight end, and he's just not as effective as
his ceiling is 700 yards and 5 touchdowns.
I mean,
which is fine, but I'm not.
That's most tight end ceilings. I mean,
right?
Unless you're in the top 5 of the tight end category. So
okay, and I agree with that. But you know what? When you have a chance, I mean, what's Dynasty and what's fantasy football about? Like, if you're trying to build good teams, upside.
No,
going after upside.
It is winning a fucking championship. That's what
It
it's
is
about.
winning a championship. And how do you build teams? You should go after upside, because if you build a bunch of just average guys, you're never going to get there. You need boom weeks. You need good players. And there just happens to be a guy named Brock Bowers who's going to be available there. And I don't love the situation, but what I do love is his talent. And this is dynasty. So
Right.
if I pass on him and he does become Kelsey, what am I doing? What am I doing? I take him this year. Maybe he has 650 yards, 700 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Maybe he breaks out and has 800 or 900, like Laporta, and 9 or 10 touchdowns. Maybe that happens. But I think once they get the quarterback situation straightened out, they're going to use him, and he's awesome. I mean, just put on his highlights. The guy is a maniac.
So, are you saying you're taking Bowers at 5? You said you were
I'm
going to
90% I'm taking Bowers, yes.
So here's what I will. I pick eighth, and
Right.
then there's two guys in between us picking Jed and Doug are picking 6 and 7. Doug, the other host of the show, and what I can tell you from my point of view is, if you don't take Bowers at 5, I don't know if Jed would take him at 6. I don't know who his tight end is, but
I know that Jed. I've been playing. We've been playing with Jed for years. I
right.
know there's three guys, and it's going to be one of these three. It's going to be Xavier Worthy, Lad McConkey, or Brian Thomas. It's going to be one of those guys. That's who it's
Okay,
going to be.
even if Bowers is on the on the board.
Well, I mean, I'm going under the right.
So that's why I'm asking. Like, if you don't take Bowers, do you think Jed would snatch him up at 6?
Um, I don't. I don't think Jed likes his situation either. No, I don't think he would. No,
And
I
then do
don't.
you think Doug would snatch him up at 7?
I think Doug might, but I also think. I mean, is Doug going to pass on Jaden Daniels? I mean, he's got Cousins. I guess he could. No, he's Trey McBride. He's definitely not taking Brock Bowers.
Okay, and then do you think that I would take him at 8?
Yes, I think you would absolutely 100% take him. To
Yeah,
hold him with Sam Laporta and be like, look, bitches, I got Bowers and I got Laporta. And you could hold them, and they both have an immense amount of value in the league.
but I don't think it's. I would definitely consider if he falls to 8. I would definitely consider taking him because of his talent. I
Yeah.
I I definitely care about landing spot, but I think everyone is over hyping his landing spot as being a
Yeah.
problem. He is not going to play. It's exactly what I just said about Goddard.
Right.
He
It's
is not going to play inline tight end. That's going to
That'll be
be
Mayer.
Michael Mayer, who they
Right.
drafted. Now I can tell you the misappropriation of funds for the fucking Las Vegas Raiders. I don't think there's ever been a team in the history of the NFL that's drafted a tight end in back-to-back years in the first round. And if there has, I'm sure they weren't good. And I also think the Raiders are not going to be good. But
Right.
I think that Brock Bowers is going to play power slot wherever he had gone. He was going to play power slot. He is going to be the move tight end. He's going to line up in the backfield. He's going to line up in the slot, and he's going to do what Dalton Kincaid did last year for the Bills on steroids. Dalton
He's
Kincaid
twice as good
took
as kid.
he's way better than Dalton Kincaid, who was a first round pick last year. Dalton Kincaid took 6 to 8 games to get acclimated. I don't think it's
Right.
going to take Bowers that long. And I think the receiving core in Vegas is Devontae Adams, who's on the backside of his career, Jacoby Myers, who's whatever. He's a slot guy. And I think they're going to move Myers outside on third downs, where I think he's actually going to be their number 2, and they're going to, regardless, and I think they're going to run the ball a lot. But when they go to pass, they're going to bring Bowers in, they're going to put him in motion and line him up as an H back, a fullback, a slot, the second tight end in motion, and he's going to find ways to get open because he led the nation in yak. I think behind Malachi Corley, he is what you said. Same thing you said about Neighbors. What he does with the ball. So anyway, I'm not trying to sell anything. I mean, like I
Oh,
said, if he
listen,
falls to me at 8,
on
I'm going to have a
screens.
decision to
I
make.
think like around 30% of his receptions in college were on screens. Just give him the ball.
Right,
He's Neighbors at tight end.
right,
He's fast. He runs with his head down. He trucks people,
right.
and he's got good hands, man.
So for all intents and purposes, you're taking Bowers at 5 for
Yes.
our listening
Yes.
audience. At
Yes.
6, you think now you have Jed coming up at 6. He's got Anthony Richardson. I think he's got two decent running backs, right? I don't know. You pull up his team if you don't mind.
Yeah. Okay.
Who,
So he's got Eckler and Brian Robinson. Oh, he's got James Cook. So he's got Eckler and Cook.
so he's got
Uh,
the Washington backfield locked up for now, and he's got James Cook. So he
right.
doesn't need a running back per se. He could use one maybe. And then who's his starting receivers? He's got DJ Moore, right? DJ Moore
Brandon
coming from you.
Cooks, Josh Downs, Mike Evans, DJ Moore.
He definitely needs a wide receiver if he's starting Josh Downs and
Yeah.
Brandon Cooks.
So he'll
So
take Worthy or McConkey or Brian Thomas.
I would think of those three, Worthy is the fucking sexy pick, and I think McConkey is going to get more targets. I think he'll take McConkey if you take Bowers. That's my guess.
Who do
And then
you who do you like? Who do you like the most of those three?
I
Answer
like
honestly.
I am. I like McConkey the most out of all those three. I like just for what I just said. I think he's going to be the number one target. I think in the the LA
He
Chargers offense,
definitely will. And
and
Greg Roman.
maybe Harbaugh can turn Quentin Johnston into something. Everyone calls him a bust, but like 5 years ago, receivers didn't come on the scene and just produce year one like they have been. So maybe Quentin Johnston just needs a little bit more time. He's got a lot of tools. I don't think he's a bust. He just can't separate. That's his big thing. He's going to have to be more like a DK Metcalf, right? Where he just
So let's get off of Quentin Johnson. So I want to okay. So let's say
so then Jed.
at your pick, let's say Jed goes Xavier Worthy.
Let's say he takes McConkey because that's who I think he's going to take. Is that fair?
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Let's say he takes McConkey.
Okay.
Then who do you think Doug is going to take?
I don't know.
You
Doug
know
is a
more than
fucking-
me. I mean, you.
Doug
I
is a
love
fucking
Doug,
wild
but
card.
you're closer to
Doug's not going to do research until like May 30th,
Okay.
and he's going to get drunk halfway through doing that research. So I think he got burned by Sky Moore, but Xavier Worthy is not Sky
Wow.
Moore. Brian, I don't know. Like Worthy is going to be a sexy name to pick there, and Brian Thomas is going to be a sexy name to pick there. Jaden Daniels is also still on the board. So
Right.
I don't know. He has Kirk Cousins and who? Jared Goff, right?
I know. You know who he should take. Dude, his starting wide receivers are Devontae Adams, which he has a season or two left, T. Higgins, and CeeDee Lamb. Now, his starting running backs are Zach Charbonnet and DeAndre Swift.
Right.
Dude, Doug should take Jonathan Brooks.
Yes, and I also don't think Doug abides by the don't draft a running back until you're ready to compete, because I think that he had a really good run at the end of the year last year, and he almost made the championship. But looking at his team on paper, I think he's more closer to a rebuild than he is to a fucking. These guys are just getting older. His quarterbacks are mid, and he's got like one or two guys that are good, but everyone else is.
Brooks is going to be good. He's young man. He's going to be good.
Yeah.
He's going to be a bell cow in Canales' offense.
Yeah. So
that's who
for
Doug
me,
should take.
So for me, I can tell you. I mean, he might take Brooks, and then that would leave Worthy and Thomas for me at 8, or Daniels, and I have no idea where. I'm definitely taking a quarterback in this draft, but if those are the three guys, like those are like the 5 guys we just talked about: Daniels, Worthy, Thomas, McConkey, and Brooks. Those are the guys I'm looking at pick 8, and if those 2, McConkey and Brooks, are gone by pick 8, and now I got those 3, I haven't thought about a world where that happens yet. So, but we'll see. I would probably, if I had a gun to the head, I don't know, man. I might take Jaden Daniels just because
His upside is enormous.
I know, and I definitely need another quarterback.
Listen, injury concerns aside, you know who else had injury concerns? Puka Nacua. Everyone was like, he can't stay healthy. He's not going to stay healthy. And look what happened. And when you have a guy who can go in the league, who not only ran for 1,100 yards last year, but was like the 3rd best passer in the country. I know that, the offense they ran was not a pro offense, but he
Right.
still was super accurate. And the thing is, he'll have McLaurin and Dotson and Sinnott and Luke McCaffrey,
Yep.
and he'll have
And
guys
he's
to
got
throw.
a good
And
running game, and
Eckler. Yeah,
Eckler and Zach Ertz.
if he
Not
comes in
that
the league and has like a Cam Newton kind of year, and you've passed on him,
right. If he runs for, that's why I think Doug could take him because I think he has the most upside of all the people we just talked about.
right?
Brooks I think is going to be good, but he's coming off an ACL on a shit team with competition in front of him. And I'm not saying that that's counterintuitive to what I just said about Bowers. I think he's still going to win that job at some point in time during the year, and he's going to come on. But to your point, like I don't know, man. How do you pass on Jaden Daniels if he's sitting there at 8? I don't know. Brian Thomas is going to go be good in Jacksonville, maybe.
I like him, but I don't love the landing spot. I
I
think you
don't
have a
care
lot of
about the
targets,
landing spot.
Evan Ingram
I,
and Kirk, and I
I
don't know.
don't care about the landing spot. I care about the fact that his route tree is not complete, and he's basically like Mike Williams. He runs a lot of go routes. He's not running a lot of intricate routes, and they don't try to give him the ball in space. And those guys like him, Adonai Mitchell, like the guys that are the twos that run the go routes, they've been phased out a lot in the NFL. They haven't been phased out in the
Right,
NFL. That's not what I'm trying to say. The NFL has started doing this Tampa two. Almost everyone does a cover two deep safeties, so that you can't get burned over the top. They try and keep everything in front of them now. And so when a guy like that, they used to get 5 or 6 catches for like 100 yards a week. Now they're maybe getting 2 or 3 for like 40 yards, and they're very boomer. But it's the same thing with George Pickens. It's like, okay, this week you blew up and you had 26 points. This week you had 3, and that's hard to live with. So I don't know. Let's just say, for argument's sake, I take Jaden Daniels at 8. Now we got
cool.
Mark at 9, who I think is really hot to trot on a quarterback, and I think that could be someone you might want to fear jumping up into Baker's spot because those two are homies and getting that Caleb Williams pick. But like you said, you're not worried about it. So
Dude, I don't care. Mark, if you're listening to this, come up, please. Come
I
up.
guarantee you, Mark is not listening to.
Well, it's fine. Come up and take Caleb Williams. Cool, man. That's good. I'm taking a quarterback. I'm planning on taking a quarterback and a tight end in round 1 back to back. Now, that is risky as hell. And the only reason why I'm allowing myself to do it is because I have 4 picks in the round. So I can afford to take the risk of taking.
So let's say Mark takes Brian Thomas, right? Have we drafted Worthy? Let's say I take Worthy then. He'll probably
Sure.
take Jaden Daniels. And then
Sure.
10 is Brandon. I don't know who Brandon's going to take. Maybe he takes Brian Thomas. And then 11, I don't know who's at 11. Do you know who's at 11? Is it
I do. 11 is Lonnie.
okay? And let's say Lonnie, I don't know who Lonnie would take. At this point, we're kind of running out of who the best players are. Right?
Maybe he takes Trey Benson. He's got James Conner starting for him.
And that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then you at 12. So based on everything we just said, who are you taking at 12? Worthy, Thomas are gone.
I'm not
Jaden
sure.
Daniels is gone. Top
I
2 running backs are gone.
I mean, I like Corum, but not with Kyron. I like Jalen Wright, but I think Jalen Wright's a year away. I think Jalen Wright will be good on Miami once Mostert, hangs it up.
But this is your last pick
until
3. This is your last pick till 3-1, right?
So 3-1.
So
Yeah.
so you're gonna take
Or I reach for another wide receiver that I really like a Javon Baker, who I know won't go in front of me. So I could say that, and that's fine. Someone like that, who I think has a lot of upside, and I wouldn't mind just holding on to him and seeing how it goes. Because I think, in the end, I think there's a really good chance he's better than Jalen Polk, who the Patriots also drafted, and he's going to be the big play guy. Where I think Polk will be a good player, but I think Polk will be I think his upside is a wide receiver 2, where I think Baker could sneak into wide receiver 1 in a few years, maybe. I think he has a better chance of it. And I think having that pick at 12 and not having a second round pick, it's a good spot for me to reach just a little bit. You know,
Are you thinking of trading down?
I would consider trading down, but it's very difficult in our leagues to trade down actively during the draft. I don't find the communication is good. I mean, you'll reach out to people, you won't hear back from them, and doing it on the day of the draft. I mean, I can try to do it. I can see what's available. You, I don't think are a candidate because you have the next pick after me, which it makes no sense for you to jump up one pick. But then your next pick is not until 8. I don't see a world where I'm going to want to go from 112 to 28. Not unless you're giving me something awesome, and it would be more than you're willing to give.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. And plus, I mean, I take it you're going to need a quarterback, and I'm not going to take a second quarterback. So we'll see how it goes. Now, Mark could screw everything up and come up and take Caleb, and that would be interesting.
It would be interesting, but I don't think he's going to pay. This is just me talking shit. I don't think there's a world where he pays to go up 6 spots, unless he fleeces Baker, and I just don't think.
No, I think Baker. I've been talking with him quite a bit, and I think the right move for him is to take Odunze, and I think that's what he's going to do.
Right. I think if he takes Bowers, you're gonna take Odunze then.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's no doubt it'll be one or the other.
So. Yeah. I mean, you're locked in at a good. I mean, you're probably gonna walk. You're definitely gonna walk away most likely with either Odunze, Harrison, and Caleb, or Bowers, Caleb, and Harrison, and that's a good haul. That's a really good haul.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, all right, my friend. I think it's been a fun episode. Did you enjoy your guest hosting appearance?
Yeah, it's a good time. It's very laid back. I like it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun to talk sports and record it and put it out on the internet for no one to see.
Hey, we have it for our record. It's
That's
okay.
Right. That's right. Yeah. So, all right, man. Well, do you have anything to say to the audience?
No. Go outside. Go outside and put down your phone, please. All of you.
Okay. Cranky old man from the cranky old man. Go scream at trees.
Go play
Doug would
pickleball.
normally say Vaya con Dios to someone. We'll leave that for Doug. We're not going to steal his little bit. But audience, it's been good, and we will talk to you next time.
And real, take it easy, man.